Ain't cooey, cuz. From season 4, episode 1 is in the books, and the 31st episode of the series gets us off to a good start. Mr. Yeller McNasty, aka the Man in Yellow, our new character Sophia, old one-eyed Jack Elgen, heavy symbolism baked into damn near every scene, and a lot of dialogue that sheds some light on the mysteries that we've been having for years about this place. And in this video, we're gonna go over some of the things I've noticed in this episode. Welcome to Real Enigmas and Theories. This video will contain spoilers for season 4, episode 1 of From, just so you know. So without further ado, let's cook. Now, this episode picks up right where we left off in season 3, but we're not gonna do a full-on recap, but we will address the key events in this episode and go over a few things as we get there. Now, I'm sure we all caught some of the details in both of the conversations that Yeller McNasty had with Julie and Jim. And everything he says to Julie puts a few things into perspective right away.
People are such fragile things. We have to stop meeting like this. When did you come from this time? There's no way to change a story once it's been told.
This confirms something that I've been thinking about this show since my coverage in season 2. Cycles and the possibilities of all of this happening before. The time that we're bearing witness to right now is not the first time any of these events have happened. I think it might actually be the third time. I think that during the first time, Boyd knew that it was Julie who threw down the rope, and during that first time, Thomas had not perished from falling off the changing table, but he was also present in Frumlands. And Thomas Matthews is one of the most bizarre 47 connections in the show, but we're going to talk about that later. Then during that conversation, he also quotes two people. I know you caught the one where he quotes Ethan about not being able to change the story once it's been told.
There's no way to change a story once it's been told.
But did you catch how he quoted Reggie about humans being fragile?
People are such fragile things.
Reggie said the same thing in season 2 when Paula died.
I never realized how fragile we are. How easily we break.
He said that humans are so fragile and easy to break. And funny enough, Reggie is also a heavy 47 connection tied directly to the Thomas Matthews connection that we're going to touch on later as well. As far as his conversation with Jim, he says that Jim always tried so hard.
You always tried so hard. You carried so much.
And that to me indicates that this is not the first time that they've come to this place. It's either the second or third. I did a video in 2023 about the cycles within cycles on this show, and I think it's a great time to clear it up with the cycles real quick. Okay, so you have the story that's happening over and over again with different players on the board throughout the centuries. And we can see this with all the ancient ruins, the Civil War soldiers, colonial people, Puritan figures, and how the players that we see during these particular phases take on some of the attributes as the players in other times. For instance, we have Mari, Randall, and Julie in chains like Martin in those other two corpses. And we see Sarah being prompted to take Elgin's eye, mirroring the guy with the blood in the skull. I mean, you even have Boyd having an actual sheriff's badge, implying that there was once a sheriff there before, just like Kenny's deputy badge. And we're also being shown another priest that's coming into town to replace Khatri. Now, we have those cycles, and we have the cycles that are within the cycle that may be due to the story walking abilities and most likely come from this place having actual reach to the so-called outside. For instance, this time, Boyd had an experience on the outside with Corporal Brian Kelly, and then two players came into the fray from the bus, and their names revealed that link to Boyd. Another thing is this time on the so-called outside, the phone rings, causing a tragedy in the Matthews family, and Thomas doesn't make it into Frumland with the family this time. and that's also reach to the outside. Khatri heard voices that ended him up in this place. That's reach to the outside, and so did Kenny's father. Kenny's father heard voices, and they just thought it was a part of his dementia, but they ended up in that place when they went to go retrieve him when he walked outside one night. And in this time period, the players keep overacting the same arcs over and over again, overlapping with the different time periods over and over again.
Over and over.
Okay, I get it. Like, please, just stop.
The other thing he said to Jim was that he carried so much. And I spoke about this last season as well. I spoke about the gestures of the characters throughout the series. McNasty said that Jim carried so much. Now, the word gesture comes from the word jeri, which literally means to carry. And Jim's gestures during season 3 were a clue to his demise. He did the gesture of the blindfolded initiate just like Julie did in season 1 with Fatima having her enter the room blindfolded. And then Ellis's gestures mirrors Victor's gestures in front of the Masonic Grand Drapes. I spoke about that in several videos last season. Jim walks into the room blindfolded and stands on the checkered pattern and gestures the cross-legged Templar effigy, which we saw before when he was upside down in Tabitha's dream as the hangman. Elgen also did this cross-leg gesture in the bed, so I'm wondering if that's foreshadowing his death. We'll talk about that later. But in season 3, Jim also gestures the funeral for the widow's son as he pours libation. And Jim is the widow's son, or the Hiram Abiff archetype that predicted his death for season 3. And his death in season 3 makes me think that this is the third time. Jim's death in episode 310 mirroring the death of the sacrificial cow by the proverbial milkman in episode 301. And Tabitha simply having that dream with Jim hanging upside down and hearing the car horn, coupled with the ambulance that was on the steps as she came up the tower, being the same ambulance that brought her back in, says to me that this is either the second or the third time, but I think it's the third. So moving right along, we get a shot of the priest coming into town. And Jim died, so that makes the population of the town 46, and McNasty knows that there'll be another player coming in town, so he hijacks that situation by transforming into Sophia.
She's lying, that tramp.
I'm thinking maybe this place tries to keep the occupancy at around 47. We can see the Alabama license plate, and I'm sure you noticed that it looks like it could be decoded to be Eloise. And I'm sure you caught the phrase, "Stars fell on Alabama," and it's a reference to the 1833 meteor shower that happened in Alabama. I thought that was real interesting. And shout out to Debbie Ebby Bo Bebby, because I remember a theory she had a long time ago about the talismans possibly being a part of a meteorite. But the thing that caught my attention was the year on the registration sticker being 2033. And I looked it up, and in Alabama, they have to get an annual sticker dated with the current year on it. And when I looked up the "Stars Fell on Alabama" slogan, it's no longer used and was retired from license plates in 2009. And his car doesn't even look like it's from 2033, unless he's just rocking an old school. And I also noticed that he didn't get the crows, nor did we hear any. We did see in the trailer that the crows do show up to the funeral, and we know the true identity is Sophia, so I'm wondering how that plays out. Now, moving right along, I'm glad that Kenny was there to bear witness to Smiles Davis being back, because if not, Boyd would have probably just kept that shit to himself. Kenny going down there made Boyd know that he had to spill the beans about Smiles Davis. And are we still calling him Smiles Davis or Smiles Stevens? I don't know. And when Boyd told everybody that the thing that came up out of Fatima was actually Smiles Davis, Ellis was like,
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
And Fatima is talking hella slick to everybody in the room. But I bet if they mention how she took out Tilly, she calmed that shit down real quick. And do you mean to tell me that after Boyd tells all of them in that room that it's Smiles Davis that she gave birth to, that nobody even mentions the fact that Fatima was already pregnant when he died.
Get the fuck out of here.
I get it. Okay, I don't like it. I get it.
Anyway, Sarah's sitting there looking crazy as hell after taking Elgin's eye, and I think she still has the eye somewhere in her pocket.
Get that crazy bitch away from me!
Donna says she had reasons, but let's not forget that this girl was instructed to take the tongue of Toby. And that makes me wonder if we'll see something happen to somebody's ear. You know, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I mean, they had homie looking like one of the oblongs. Bro looked like he grew up near a chemical spill. Side of bro's face looked like a swollen foot with a bullet wound. Christy was like,
Who fucked you up like this? Damn! I'm sorry.
a couple of things that I definitely took away from this scene was the Rondé move calendar makes another appearance, along with that sketchy picture of Donna's sister. Clara shows up, and them sewing up Elgin's eye was nasty as hell. I mean, they done sold your boy a permanent wink.
Damn, damn, damn.
And speaking of nasty, Mr. Yella McNasty is getting ass naked in the woods with that suitcase that Tabitha found in the tunnels. How did it get there, and why was the contents inside of it different? Is it from a different time?
Oh, that's a good question.
McNasty warned about her digging that hole in the basement, and that's what led to her finding the suitcase. And like I said earlier, this could possibly be a different time where the suitcase was somewhere else with different content. We know he turns into Sophia, and we know he hijacked the priest's ride to come into town unsuspected. We know that she places the palm of her hand to cast the spells. And we've seen this before with Jade and Jim. Jade placed his palm on that tree and ended up having the vision of the Civil War soldier. And that vision didn't end until Jim placed his palm on Jade's chest to bring him out of it. This also connects to the gestures that I was talking about earlier. So this Sophia angle is adding something new to the show, and I like it. And we see her holding hands with Kenny, and I can tell you already that he's buying her story. As I told you earlier in the video, I marked Jim as the Hiram Abiff archetype in the show, and that connects him to Solomon's Temple along with the Masonic and Jewish mysticism. And last year, before season 4 was even filming, I brought up the connections to the name Sophia and the Baphomet. I've also talked about the significance of the number 47, which we'll touch on in a minute. I started talking about the 4s and 7s back in season 2, and I linked them to the 11 states of the Southern Confederacy. And in season 3, I went deeper into the concept and tied it to actual real world events that happened in 2024. And I did all of this before season 4 was even in the works or any mention of a new character named Sophia. A few of my videos were removed from YouTube, I think due to the sensitive nature of the subject matter. But here's a clip of me breaking down the Baphomet last year.
In Greek, we can break down Baphomet into 2 words that come together as a phrase. Bap, translating to bathe or baptize, and metis, meaning metrics or math, Baphometis, bathed in mathematics, or baptized in the knowledge of mathematics. Moreover, using the Atbash cipher to decode the word Baphomet, we revealed the Greek word Sophia, written in right to left in Hebrew. Sophia is also celebrated in the Kabbalah, which is a part of Jewish mysticism, just like the Atbash cipher. Baphomet spelled backwards is Tim of Av, which can be broken down into Latin. Simply, omnium, hominum, pacis, abbas, which translates to the God of the temple of peace of all men, known as the Temple of Solomon, which circles us right back to Solomon, who speaks of Sophia in the Bible. Even Dylan can be seen posing the as above, so below gesture.
And I know there were some people out there who disagreed with the symbolism that I was pointing out, but it turns out that I was right about the Baphomet-Sophia connection.
I was fucking right. I was right.
You have the solve et coagula, or as above, so below shot during the transformation with the upside down camera work. You have the male transformation to the female and the dual genitalia of the Baphomet. The man in yellow, Sophia, and the Baphomet all represent hidden knowledge. Now let's talk about the 47. I made about 6 videos last year, and now there are only 2 currently that are still up from the ones I did last year. The others got claimed and totally blocked from YouTube, but the ones that I have up are still fire and drop some of the same jewels. I made connections to real world events that happened in 2024 that also connect to the number 47. I've noticed a few more 47 and 74 connections, and we're gonna cover all of it on here. Now, as I said before, McNasty quoted Ethan when he mentioned not being able to change a story when it's been told, but he also quoted Reggie when he talked about how fragile humans are. Ethan said his line in the diner with Julie, and when he was in the diner with Jim in season 1, he mentioned saving Thomas as being the way they get home. Thomas Matthews is also a heavy 47 clue. Stay tuned. Now, from the very beginning, From appeared to be dropping some heavy clues to events that would be happening in 2024. In season 1, the mention of Thomas Matthews and the symbol that Jade sees. In season 2, we got the cicadas and Jade mentioning Venn diagrams and all of the Vesica Pisces symbolism. Reggie is another clue from season 2, but we'll get there in a minute. Now, let's just start with the clues that pointed to the year of 2024. And first, we have the cicadas. The emergence of the cicadas on this show was terrifying, but to me, it was random as hell. But this points to 2024 because in the spring of 2024, a simultaneous emergence of 2 distinct broods emerged at the same time. The Great Southern Brood and the North Illinois Brood popped out at the same time, which only happens every 221 years or so. This is something that scientists knew were going to happen in 2024, and they have been talking about it for years. The other 2024 event was the April 8th eclipse. Now, that eclipse was the third of a triad of eclipses in which the first one was in 2017 and the second one was in 2023. And the third one was on April 8th, 2024. Now, when you look at the pathways of each one of these eclipses together, you get the root symbol that Jade sees right across the contiguous United States. Look at how the symbol that Jade sees lines up with these 3 eclipses that happen in America. Now, we all know that our players are traveling in the contiguous United States when they end up in this place. But there's something way more interesting about the 2024 eclipse. Check this out. Right before the eclipse reaches the U.S., it passes through a town called Nineveh, Nova Scotia, right over top of the filming location for the television show From. And then it moves right on into the U.S., where our travelers get transported to Frumland. Now, after passing through Nineveh, Nova Scotia, it continues to pass right over 5 more cities named Nineveh. Now, the ironic part of this is how it connects to From. Nineveh is mentioned in the book of Jonah, and that eclipse also passes through Jonah, Texas as one of the last stops. Nineveh is also mentioned in the book of Matthew by Jesus after the fish and loaves feeding event. The book of Matthew, Mr. Fish and Loaves. Now, I've talked a lot about the 4s and 7s throughout the years, and the 74 on the radio, encoded in Tabitha's hospital bedroom, Tilly's 4 children and 7 grandchildren, Book 74, Boyd Stevens and Jade Herrera are both 4 and 7 names, Donna Raines, Jim Matthews, Abby Stevens, and Tien Chen Lu all have 11 letters in their name. Even the writer, John Griffin, is a 4 and 7 name. The season 4 teaser dropped 74 days before the premiere on April 19th. And the last trailer dropped on April 7th, which is another 4-7. Donald Trump posted about 47 years of corruption on April 7th, which is another 4 and 7. And he is the 47th president. And now we have a head count of 47 people in Frumland, while Boyd's having the Iron Abbey notion to take out the players. Now, as I mentioned before, Reggie and Thomas Matthews are also connected to 47. On July 13th, 2024, July 13th being another 7 and 4, a man named Thomas Matthew made an attempt on Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. And then he was taken out, just like Reggie made an attempt in Boyd before he got packed up. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think this season will forecast events for 2027, the year of the GOAT. 20 plus 27 equals 47. And now we know that season 5 is in the works and most likely will drop next year. And if we're getting another 10 episodes, then we'll definitely get episode 47. This was episode 31, but I'm really checking for episode 33 and episode 407, or episode 7 of season 4. Now, since Sophia's favorite part is the people tearing themselves apart, I'm wondering if this is something that she will be agitating along the way. Will she be using the Bible? And it looks like there's several Bibles that made their way into town. It looks like at least one more in the back of the priest's car, other than the one that Tabitha used on Sophia's neck. She's already got Kenny praying, and it looks like he was getting some comfort from her words. We got crazy things going on at the Matthews house with the cabinets and flying books. And I told you in my last video that I think that that's Julie. But either way, I hope we do find out this season. I'd like to point out how the cicadas could not be seen by the people when they were overtaking Julie, Mari, and Randall. They could only be seen by Julie, Mari, and Randall. And they were seen coming from the monster's body, but they vanished like Story Walking Julie did with Yeller McNasty. I still sense a bit of egg symbolism tied to the one-eyed symbolism with Elgen and the one-eyed Jack. Ethan mentions hobo eggs in season 1, and they're also known as one-eyed Jacks. So that's a little taste of egg symbolism right there. But Boyd lining up to 16 bullets and saying that Sophia was 16 has piqued my interest as well. You know, 1 and 6 is 7. So I'm thinking that we might get some 4 symbolism tied around her as well. And we'll see about that. I'm hoping that we get some information about Rendezvous, and I wonder who will be the first person to catch on to Sophia's foolery. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to catch on to Sophia first. So much to talk about in this episode, packed with symbolism as usual from. And you know this show always makes a great night for TV no matter what time of the year it drops. So overall, I gave this episode a 7 out of 10. Only due to the fact that it's the season before the last season, and I expected episode 401 to take off with a bang. It wasn't a bad episode though. Also, the fact that they gave away a lot before the episode in those trailers. I don't think they should have put the man in yellow in there shape-shifting, or the shot of Sophia smiling without her glasses in the trailer. They could have used some of those good scenes, like when Fatima was screaming on them, telling them that she told them that something was inside her and everything like that. They could have used those scenes instead of showing us him transforming and her smiling, because it kind of gave it away before the season even got started. Imagine if you didn't see that going into the episode, and then that would have been a reveal to you. I think it would have hit a lot harder. I think they set it up to where too much of us were anticipating it. But like I said, I gave this one a 7 out of 10. It's probably, you know, the lowest score that I've ever given any From episode, but hey, you can't win them all. And if you like this video, go ahead and hype me up. Do all of that dope YouTube stuff. And if you're not subbed yet, hopefully this will be the video to make you do it. And if you've made it this far into the video, do me a favor and check out this video right here that I did last season on your screen right now, and compare that with what we know about season 4 so far. Meet me over there in the comment section too. That's all for my video this evening. I'll catch you in the next one.